At this point, I'd like to introduce Tree Commission member Patrick Feckety to make the annual presentation of the Tree Commission to the Council. Patrick?
Mayor, council members, staff, and members of the public. My name is Patrick Feckety, and I've been a member of the Moscow Tree Commission for about a year now. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for us to present our annual report tonight. Just to reacquaint everybody with the Moscow Tree Commission, I'd like to read our mission statement. The mission or purpose of the Moscow Tree Commission is to plan, establish, and help conduct a comprehensive community forestry program for the city of Moscow. By ensuring safe, healthy trees, the community forestry program will enhance the quality of life for all that live, work, and visit the city of Moscow. To introduce ourselves, a few of our members are here, David and Mary Jo, along with Nils, Amanda, Don, and myself. Dan is our council liaison, and Tom is our staff liaison. The Moscow Tree Commission views Moscow's urban forest as an infrastructure, specifically a green infrastructure. So we found this definition of infrastructure that I'd like to read. It's the physical components of interrelated systems providing commodities and services essential to enable, sustain, or enhance the societal living conditions. And we feel that this is very applicable to the urban forest. For example, the urban forest reduces energy demands that benefits homeowners. It also intercepts rainwater, which the city and the county receive benefit. And urban forests provide numerous ecosystem services that would not exist in a landscape of just concrete. But what's kind of unique about this infrastructure is that the majority of the trees are actually owned by individuals within the community. So it's just not one entity that's responsible for this infrastructure. And we do our part to reach out to the community that has individual trees that are private property. But before I move on to discuss some of our activities that we perform to support this green infrastructure, I'd like to mention that a member of our commission recently passed away this last year. I think most of you probably knew Margaret Littlejohn. She was a very valuable asset to the community. She served on the Tree Commission for over 20 years and was involved in numerous other commissions and organizations throughout the community. The Tree Commission was involved in helping select a tree that the Pathways Commission planted in her honor. This tree is located along a trail near Mountain View Park, kind of at the end of F Street. Margaret will definitely be missed. The City of Moscow participates in the Tree USA program, which is primarily administered by the Arbor Day Foundation in association with the U.S. Forest Service and National Association of State Foresters. Moscow has been participating in Tree City USA for 22 consecutive years. There are 69 cities or communities in Idaho that participate in this program, and of those 69, only 8 have been participating longer than the city of Moscow. So we take pride that the community realized early on the benefits that the trees provide. There are 4 requirements to be a Tree City USA participant. The first is the existence of a tree board, which is met by the Moscow Tree Commission and Tom's role with the city. Second, there's a tree care ordinance, which Moscow has. Third, community forestry program. We believe we have a very strong, enthusiastic forestry program here. And the fourth is we observe Arbor Day. So on Arbor Day this last year was April 24th, and we celebrated Arbor Day by planting a tree along, I believe, First Street next to the library. We were assisted by the 5th graders from Russell Elementary. The students wrote poetry, they wrote stories, created other works of art, which they displayed at the celebration. And some of that work of art was also displayed at the Hamilton Indoor Recreation Center for all of the public to view. All of the students helped with the planting of the trees. However, I would like to point out none of them helped dig the hole that the tree went into. So they were primarily hole fillers. But at the ceremony, we distributed tree seedlings to the students, and afterward at the farmers market, we distributed the remaining seedlings to the public, and we distributed overall about 400 tree seedlings. So I mentioned the farmers market. This is our primary form of outreach to the public. We participated at the market 3 times this year. We distribute literature, we answer questions. All types of people come and stop and talk. You have those that are experts in trees, to the individual who recently moved to Moscow, has purchased a home, and is looking for advice on what type of trees to plant in their yard. One of our new programs this year was a fruit tree pruning workshop, and this was a huge success. We had a full class of 20 participants. They learned about proper pruning techniques, and we discussed methods for training young fruit trees, as well as ways to try to get some of those larger, more neglected trees under control. And another new program that are new to us, I'd say, is we participated in the Latah County Historical Society annual ice cream social. There we presented results based on a computer program called iTree Design that we use to estimate the benefits that the trees on McConnell Mansion property provide the property itself and the community at large. We had an activity for the kids called where they could test their knowledge of good bugs versus bad bugs. And we also distributed tree cookies, which are slices of tree branches. And that was a surprisingly big hit with not just the children, but with also the adults. So moving on in the future, we have a lot of work in the pipeline, but just like to discuss or mention 2 of them here. We're currently planning for our second fruit tree pruning workshop that I believe is scheduled for February 20th. And we expect it to be full again this year, so if you're interested, encourage the public to register early. And also, the Tree Commission is working with P&Z to update the planting requirements in new subdivisions, because we want to ensure that all these available planting spaces are occupied, and doing so will further strengthen Moscow's green infrastructure. And with that, I would like to thank the council members for their ongoing support, and special thanks to Dan, our liaison, and Tom, the staff liaison. We could not do our job without you, and thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, for that wonderful report. The Tree Commission is a very important commission in our town because of the forestry that we have here, and do a very nice job. Dan, you're the liaison.
Yeah, and that's Patrick talked about the, I think their most popular thing has turned into that pruning workshop. They're actually going to be holding it over at that WSU Turkey Orchard, I think, this winter, early spring. Depending on how the weather looks, what we'll call it, but because it was so popular, and they need more trees to work on and actually let people have some more hands-on experience. So that's something that they're really looking forward to.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Tom. Walter?
Tom?
Yes, sir.
A question that the public is just waiting to hear answered. When do you prune fruit trees on the Palouse? What time of year?
Late winter to early spring.
You just told a lot of people what they needed to know.
Thank you. You're welcome.